we live? एक मिनट. OBS में शिफ्ट करना पड़ेगा. दोनों कमेंट वाला. I think we are live.
Cool.
Okay. Are we audible and everything to everyone? Like, so those who are there, can you let us know in the live chat if you can hear us?
Cool.
I think there is a delay. Okay. I think there was last minute changes in the links. So if you have some friends who are also about to join this, let us know, right? And then we can start. Okay. I see a few yeses. So great. So meanwhile, we'll introduce ourselves. So I am Bharat. I am one of the co-founders at Programming Pathshala, and I've worked at Tower Research Capital for around 2 years. And I have Shreyash with me. Shreyash, would you like to introduce?
Hi guys, I'm Shreyash. I'm also co-founder at Programming Pathshala. I've worked with BharatPe, I've worked with Samsung earlier. And yes, let's have a blast with this session.
Yeah, so I think everyone would be aware of the session that we are going to take today, the things that we are going to talk about. So it's mostly regarding recession. So I think there has been a lot of negativity going around regarding ki recession hai, so there are no jobs, things like that, right? And IT industry is doomed, like there will be no hiring in the future, and all this stuff is going around, right? So we thought as Prime Pathshala, and as our motive is to make people confident in themselves, and so we thought it is our duty to bust the myths around it, to make sure that people do not feel that they are in a helpless situation, right? So that is why we have kept this webinar, and I think we'll be starting pretty soon. So you can also keep your questions ready. So if anyone has any doubts, any questions, you can punch it in the live chat. We'll be able to see it, and we'll try to answer most of them, right? So I think let's wait for 1 or 2 more minutes, and then we can start. Meanwhile, if people would like to introduce themselves in the chat, I can read it.
Also, if you have any questions prior to starting the session, you guys can ask.
Yes. Yep. Constant layoffs without a break, really sad situation for tech. Yeah, I know, I said. We'll talk about it. We have kept those things in mind. Okay, I think we can go ahead and begin. So, title of the webinar obviously is Recession Gone, and what impact do we see it having on Indian software jobs for specific city, right? If some of you are not Indian guys, I think most of the things should still be relevant to you, right?
I think when we decided what session we should do, and this topic came up just because everywhere we find in the news that okay, this particular company fired this many number of employees, right? And it happens that whenever we open our mobile, we open in shorts or we have some kind of notifications popping up, and this basically creates a negative situations around us, and it's important to know the facts around it so that we are not like told by other people that okay, this is happening and we go in that direction. Okay, we cannot do anything. It's not like that. So it's important to know the facts around it so that we can have confidence about the situation and what we need to do to tackle it. That is very important. So that is the reason why we decided that we should take this particular topic and let's try to bust all the myths around this particular topic, and let's try to see the facts where the trends are going in terms of recession and what as a IT engineer we should do so that we can ride this wave of recession like a pro.
Yep. So I think let's go ahead. Let's talk about the facts first, right? So I think everyone knows this. Like even recently, there is a news that Facebook is going to lay off around 10,000 more employees, right? And this has been the kind of trend specifically in 2023. It started a little back only, probably in 2022. But 2023 has seen all the FANG companies almost laying off, right? Be it Amazon, be it Meta, be it Microsoft, right? So that has been kind of the trend. And yeah.
So day before yesterday, I was going through the internet and I saw that Facebook again fired 10,000 students, employees,
Yeah.
right? So and on that day, I got calls from some of my friends. They were working in a startup, and they said that, okay, Shreyash, this is happening. Do we have to do something else so that we could be confident? Just because these kind of news, when they come to people, they have this tendency that, okay, it is happening to us also. And if they don't know where to start on what they need to do when they are in such situation, they basically create some negative energy around them. And that is really important, that you actually get into the facts around this recession. And
Yep.
so that's all.
राइट तो दिस हैज़ बीन द ट्रेंड एंड इससे काफ़ी सारे वीडियोस भी आए हैं कि फैंग इज़ यूजलेस, यू शुड नॉट वरी अबाउट इट, राइट? सो आई थिंक everything has two sides, right? So some time back people were talking about how to get into these companies. Now it's like that. So I would not say they are like, it's not a good idea to aim for fang, but I would say at this particular moment in recession, keeping these kind of heavy aspirations directly probably might not be a good idea. And and we'll talk about more about it in the upcoming slides, but I think we can move ahead. So first, let's try to understand why firing and layoffs are actually happening, right? What is happening? So I think सबसे important यहाँ पे is the impact of COVID, right? So when COVID came, what happened? Everything suddenly shifted online, right? So if we talk about it, Facebook said कि हम metaverse बनाएंगे. Then when we talked about Amazon, they introduced something called as Amazon Academy कि सब कुछ online move हो जाएगा. Then even Google had some gaming platform
Stadia.
that they were coming up with called as Stadia, right? But what happened कि जैसे ही COVID खत्म हुआ, people are now more interested in moving out, right? So even if you go to any tourist place, तो तुम देखोगे कि like there is a lot of rush, lot of traffic. You cannot arrive at any tourist place specifically without having a traffic jam, right? So the thing is that because people were forced to live in their house for some time, now everyone is like, let's go out, है ना? And things like, even things like education, things like you can say other stuff like gaming, etc., they are trying to do it in a more offline fashion. So that is why what happened, जो surge की वजह से hiring हुई थी, that has impacted these companies, right?
And where it started, we should talk about it. So when the pandemic was there and companies realized that everything will go online, the investors also targeted these companies. They gave more money to them, and that's the reason why the hiring was very high at that time. And now when they realize that, okay, these particular industries that are for leisure or entertainment do not basically help in any sustenance, or even people in global nations, they basically now are cutting costs, and they realize that these things are secondary, and first important things are the sustenance. And when they cut costs, they will basically cut cost on the things that are not for sustenance. And that's the reason why the companies working in entertainment, or even you will count gaming, even crypto, these kind of companies are basically laying off more as compared to the companies who are working on sustenance.
Yes, so entire teams were getting fired basically because of this simple reason कि like people are now more focused on sustenance, right? Companies are now more focused on sustenance than expansion, than leisurely things, right? So that is why this all firing and all is happening right now.
So even in our startup, we say that we think in a way that what particular things are directly involved in growing business.
Yes.
Rather than some dream projects or some research work, we are now seeing things very clearly that, okay, these are the things that will bring money to the company. That are the things that are in direct proportional to what our business is. So it's important for each and every company at this time to realize what are the important things that they should target, and then make their priority. And the things that are at low priority, they will try to cut off. They'll try to basically cut expenses out of those things.
So someone has asked like a nice question. So he's saying that still, if we see, these companies are making a lot of money, like Fang, if we talk about it, they are making money, right? So even with this money, they could have sustained a little bit longer, right? But see, the point is, whoever has asked this question, it is a good question. But the point is that not just the companies involved, there are venture capitalists involved who have put their money into these companies, right? And they look at things long term कि कितने टाइम तक बिजनेस ऐसे चल सकता है, राइट? एंड इफ सम प्रोजेक्ट्स टेक too long to complete, and till that time, like it is going to be a loss making thing, then probably right now, because they don't know what kind of a recession does the future hold, they might think of cutting it off, right? And that is why these things are happening, because there is a lot of research, there are a lot of questions that कैसे होगा आगे, है ना? And that is why whatever is not profitable, whatever is not sustaining, they are trying to lay it off in a way, right? Yeah.
So I'll just show some stats. So I was going through all the stats today. I went through all the websites, right? So there is one website who is covering each and every layoff, that is known as layoffs.fyi. You would have known about it. So here we can see that in like after COVID-19, all the big names, all the big companies that we know about, Fang, Mang, all these companies have laid off many engineers, and including Google, Meta, Microsoft, Amazon. So I have the data of these. You can check out on this website. But the important thing that I want to concentrate on is the effect that is happening globally is not same what is happening for Indian companies, right? And the reason why is that Indian companies like Zerodha or Zoho or like BharatPe, so they have a clear business model, and that is why their engineers are not in the impact of this layoff, right? So the thing is that for the companies who have good business model and they have took care of the investment that they already have received, they are not laying off as compared to the companies that are not in India. So the effect of recession is more globally as compared to India.
हाँ, so it is not like कि there is no effect, है ना? If we even look at it, some of the companies do have fired. So उसके पीछे भी कुछ reason है. So many of those companies were not having a sustainable business model. They were not profitable at all, है ना? They were burning money like in huge amounts, right? So, and second thing is कि most of the money that they get, that is the funding that they get, they are from US based venture capitalists, right? Or US based companies. So since they are in the process of extracting money rather than giving money, they are putting pressure, and that is why some of these have laid off. But I would still say it's an Indian mindset that they adapt quickly. So many of the companies have even adapted quickly, and they have even pivoted so that it's not like they have to shut the business down, right? So many of them have actually in fact come up with alternate business models so that they are able to sustain, right? So that is a good thing considering Indian IT companies, and many of them already had profitable businesses, so they did not need to do anything per se with this recession. Yeah.
So let's talk about the status of freshers hiring, right? So when we talk about freshers, each and every year 15 lakh engineers are estimated that they will be placed after their fourth year of college, right? And when this situation comes, we expect that the big companies like that basically hire more number of employees like TCS and the service-based companies, they will again reach, and actually they are reaching, like they are not shortening their hiring, they are consistent with what they have already done in the previous years, right? But the important thing to note is in last year companies have hired a lot. Why? Just because investment was good with these companies, and they were aiming that every business is coming online, and that is the reason why they wanted to complete their dream projects more, and then they hired more freshers, right? Yep. So if we see the data in 2022, the total number of hiring was for in freshers was 6 lakhs, right? And that was more than if we combine from 2017 to 2021. So you can see that for a single year it was more than in combination of 5 years of hiring, right? And the only reason is that companies were targeting that okay, they'll complete their dream projects, and whole bubble that we were talking about was this time only, right? And now in this year it's expected that this number will reduce by 40 to 50%, right? So let's see how it happens.
So I'll give an anecdotal evidence. So many people say that they are not from good colleges, so they'll not get hired, right? But we went to IIT Kanpur, right? And you know the status there. Like when I talked to people, there was a fear in their mind that even they might not get hired, right? So it's not just that college dependent, that okay, you are from tier 3 college, so you'll not be hired as a fresher. Even those kind of fears are there in IITK graduates, right? And why is that? Because many of these companies like Amazon, Microsoft, Google for that matter, they were taking a good chunk of people, right? So Amazon, if I talk about, they used to hire around 20 to 30 people, right? So, so basically, it has reduced, and that is why the current placement stats were not as impressive. They were good, right? They were good. I'm not saying they were bad, but I'm saying this fear is constant, right? And the only anecdote, like only way antidote to this is preparation. We'll talk about it more, right? But yeah, so this is the status. There was overhiring, and now things have come back to a normal state, which is 40-50% of what it was previous.
So there was a research done by this Team Lee's Outlook report, and it says that this year around 1.55 lakh freshers will be hired.
Yep.
Right. So I think it is more when we compare the previous years. Of course, not 2023, but it is more than when it was 2017 to 2020.
Yep. And let's also talk about startups. So there are three main places where people go to, right? So one is service-based companies like TCS, Infosys. There is little to no impact there, but salaries are also not that high, right? So that is not generally what people aim for. Second kind of stuff is startups, and third is US-based MNCs, right? So US-based MNCs we already saw there is a downturn, but what about startups? So even in case of startups, if we talk about, you would have heard there was a news that Silicon Valley Bank that got shut off,
Collapsed.
right?
So due to recession, this company, when it got money from the people who were keeping the money with this bank, and they tried to invest in a place that didn't got good profits, and that's the reason why it had fallen down. And when it fallen down, the reason is that this particular bank had given investment to 7 out of 10. If we took 10 companies in this area, it would have given investment to 7 companies out of those. And the reason why is that when this particular bank went bankrupted, so these companies who took investment from them, either they have not got the full investment, now they cannot get the remaining part, right? And now they have to cut cost of whatever they have, right?
So many US based startups, because of their banks, their financial system, little bit collapsing. Not that much in US, but much more even in Europe and UK regions because of the war also going on, right? And inflation that is happening. So all these startups which were US based, UK based, they are also finding it difficult to hire. But as we looked at Indian based startups, it is not so evident, right? Impact is there, but it is not very evident. So startups will still but continue to look for the cream of the talent, right? This is one of the study I think that we have picked. So one of the research said that although they want to expand in as little cash as possible, but still they would continue to hunt for the cream of the layer. And at this time, if you see, it's much easier for them. Why? Because these global competitors are not there. Like Amazon, Google, they are not hiring. So they are not there to compete for the same talent. So at this time, kind of, it is the best for them to hold on to great talent, right? So that is why there is slight positive if we talk about the startup hiring.
So it's like in this particular time, nobody is getting hired.
Yeah, so I think this is the most frequent question that people have asked. So I would say that is definitely not the case. So even if I talk about Programming Pathshala, we are a small organization, but we have still been able to get a lot of people through even in these recent times, right? So last 2-3 months. So I know about Ishita Gupta. So she was in Apicero, which is a service-based companies, and now she is going to join. I think she has joined Paytm. Similarly, we have Jalaj. Jalaj was from Thapar, and now he has joined BharatPe, right? There is Chetan. Chetan was working with Krishify. Now he's going to join Coordination. So these stories are still there, right? So even with a small organization PP, and there are many more, and you'll see the success stories coming up in some days. Ishita's success story is already there, I think, on our platform. You can check that out if you want. So all these stories will also be coming up soon. So my point is that this fake notion that nobody is getting hired is definitely not true, right? Even if a small organization like us can help people get placed, right? I'm not saying that we were the reason. Obviously, their hard work was the utmost reason. That is why they got placed. But I'm just saying that even for us, which know a very few bunch of people, even from those bunch of people, we were able to see a few success stories. So if we talk about the overall picture, there will be a lot of people that are still getting hired.
So in these times when everything looks very gloomy, how they could do this particular stuff, like what they did differently? Yeah, I would like to know that.
So I have boiled it down to 3 simple things, right? So I'll talk about 3 simple stories that I have seen in this recession time. First thing is, like, first I'll talk about story of Chetan Verma, right? So he was working with Krishify, right? So I got on a call with him, and he told me that Code Nation has reached out to him to like for interviews, right? So I told him that at this time, at recession time, make sure that you don't let your work suffer. So even if you want to prepare, even if you want to make sure that you do well in these interviews, just make sure that your work does not suffer. So I would say कि वो एक कहावत होती है ना, दो नाव में पैर नहीं रखने चाहिए. तो इट्स लाइक एक नाव में अब अगर तुम हो अभी स्पेसिफिकली फॉर वर्किंग प्रोफेशनल्स, तो दूसरी नाव पे तब कूदो जब वो नाव स्टेबल हो, राइट? सो टिल द टाइम ही डिड नॉट गेट द ऑफर लेटर, फाइनल डेट, I wanted him to basically, and he also, I think, worked with full fledged in the Krishify in the previous company, right? So one thing I would say is ki don't let your current job be loose, right? So that is one thing that you can do to make sure that layoffs don't happen, right? Again, you cannot make sure that layoffs don't happen, but you reduce the chances of it a little bit. So this is first that I would say. Second story, I saw a few of the people unfortunately getting laid off, which were our old students. So, for example, in ShareChat layoffs, one of our students got laid off. So, but still, he kept calm, right? So, I was like truly surprised to see that someone who has been laid off very recently could be so calm and so committed that he'll again prepare and give interviews, right? So, some people are saying कि job opportunities ही नहीं है, right? बट जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ हैं. सो अगर तुमने ठान ली कि प्लेस होना है तो यू कैन फाइंड जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटी, राइट? एंड दिस गाय देन गॉट इन टू टर्बो, एंड द ओनली रीजन दैट ही कुड डू इट वॉज ही डिड नॉट बिकम अनफेस्ड ड्यू टू द फैक्ट दैट ही हैज़ बीन फायर्ड. ही न्यू दैट उसकी स्किल्स में कोई दिक्कत नहीं थी, राइट? ही न्यू दैट उसने अच्छे से काम किया. इट वॉज जस्ट दैट अनफॉर्चुनेट इंसिडेंट कि कंपनी ने फायर कर दिया, राइट? बिकॉज दे वर फायरिंग अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल. So just make sure that even if there are some unfortunate setbacks, you keep your calm, you make sure that you prepare. Again, जल्दी नहीं करना है. ये नहीं करना है कि अगर आज कुछ unfortunate हुआ तो एकदम अगले वीक ही interviews लग जाएं. Take your time, prepare for some time, and then there will be opportunities, right? And apply to those opportunities is what I would say.
So I was reading a story. So when this recession happened in 1928 30s, so there was a guy who took the advantage of this. So he basically bought the businesses that were selling in very cheap prices, right? And you know that particular person came out with 1% of the whole GDP of US after 5 years, right? So what I mean is, you know, what I understood from this story is that, you know, at these times when people decide that, oh, I will not prepare for company and job interviews just because none of the companies are hiring, right? So for some people this is a very good opportunity. They can show their talent. Okay, there are only few seats and I can show them, yeah, okay, I know I can prepare well and I can go there, and they see it as an opportunity, right? So it's important to realize that, you know, when things are gloomy, only few people will stand out and they will learn and they will reach to the place where they are giving interviews, right? So, you know, so you have to keep calm and prepare.
Yes. And last I would say is that don't procrastinate, right? So I think this is one thing that people, I am unfortunate like that to see that so many people have started procrastination, right? That okay, abhi nahi prepare karenge, right? But see, I have seen, so these people that I talked about, Ishita Gupta, even Arush for that matter, Vipul Banerjee, these people have been studying with Programming Pathshala for 6 to 8 months, right? They have been preparing, and they were so prepared that I would say that even if the top tech were hiring at this time, they would have easily cracked it, right? But still, it doesn't matter because right now, wherever they are going, it's still a comparable package, right? So the only antidote to be recession proof, truly recession proof, is to over prepare, right? Is to make sure that you have your skills on point, right? So just make sure that you are taking these extra steps during this time. So what will happen with procrastination, right? If you think about it, जब hiring खुलेगी तब क्या होगा? तब you will be one step behind those people जो उस टाइम पे prepared होंगे, right? तो वो लोग immediately interviews दे रहे होंगे, immediately crack कर रहे होंगे, and you will be in kind of like a environment जहाँ पे तुम्हें pressure आ जाएगा. Pressure क्या होगा कि ये लोग तो place हो रहे हैं, मैं नहीं हो रहा, right? And then you will not be able even be able to prepare at that time. So I would say at this particular time, this is the best time because कोई pressure नहीं है कि अभी job लगानी है, job लगानी है, job लगानी है. Take this recession time to be the one where you prepare very well इतना वेल कि इस टाइम पे भी अपॉर्चुनिटीज आए या इसके बाद आए, वेन एवर थिंग्स आर like in full-fledged mode, then you are the first one to get hired, right? So that is what I would like to say in
So
this point.
one thing that you get is a head start. And other
Yes.
thing I see it as ki when we were giving exams of IT, we had this JEE Advance and Means, right? And when you want to get selected, if you have preparation for Advance, you can easily crack the things for JEE
Yes.
Means, right? So
Yes.
in this time when there are few particular proposals for job and there are many people, so if you're prepared for JEE Advance, you can easily clear JEE Mains, right? So that is the preparation and the extra effort that you have to put in these times.
तो एक्स्ट्रा एफर्ट में क्या क्या आएगा, लाइक बी वेरी गुड विद योर DSA प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग स्किल्स, हैव अ वेरी गुड end to end project in your resume, right? Make sure कि CS fundamentals, LLD, all these things are covered up in a well rounded fashion, right? So अगर इतना हो गया तो no company I would say can reject you, right? In a way. Plus if you are a working professional तो तुम्हारे जो projects हैं उस पर अच्छी grasp हो, या even if you are a fresher तो उनके concepts पे अच्छी grasp हो. अगर इतना भी overall cover हो गया which can be easily done in 6 to 8 months, है ना, तो you'll be so prepared कि कोई कंपनी मना नहीं कर पाएगी once things open up. Yep.
Cool. So also, you prepare well, you get hired, right? And there is one more good news that I want to share is that many of the reports and news articles are showing that there is IT resurgence, at least in India, right? So there is a report and it says that last month, February, there was increase by 9% in the hiring on Indian IT jobs, right? And even if we see the data of layoffs.fyi, and this is the global data. So if you see the last few months, January, February, March, so there is a certain decline that you can see, and if this March is not completed, still I believe that the total amount will be lesser than February, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So, according to this report by NASSCOM, it says that Indian software jobs and services jobs will increase by 8.1% this particular year.
Right.
And the reasons that they told in the report was that when in these times when globally when they find that they have to cut cost, they reach to the places where they can find certain jobs, software jobs.
Yeah, so good talent in a cheaper price. So that is what they easily get in India, right? That there is a very good talent pool. People are like, there are a lot of engineers if you think about it. Plus they are skilled. Plus on top of that, they are cost effective compared to someone who is an engineer in, let's say, US, right? So because of those things, it is like the Indian IT sector is supposed to research probably in the coming time. That is what most of the reports are telling all around, right? So just I would say just stay tuned and let's make sure that we are not the one who are left off out of this whole scenario, right? Where people will get hired in upcoming time. Yeah.
So let's discuss what a viewer should do after this session, like what he should learn from this.
Yes. So as I talked about, first thing is that you need to make sure that you don't procrastinate, right? That is if one thing you want to take from this session, just take that no need to procrastinate at this time. Make sure that you prepare well and you have your skills worked up. Second thing is that even if you are in a current job, make sure that you don't let that out of your scope, right? Make sure you don't land up in a situation where if layoffs are happening, you are the first one, right? That should not happen. Third, even if unfortunately you get laid off, just stay calm, keep preparing, right? And you will find, so you have to fight, but you will be able to find a good opportunity in the upcoming times, right? So these three would be the most important points to take care of. Lastly, I would say the skills that you want to prepare, you make sure that you have DSA, system design, low level design, then your CS fundamentals, your project. These 5 things sorted, and make sure that they are represented in a good format in your resume. So we'll also be holding a session, I think, on resume.
We have this session on upcoming Sunday. I'll share the link on the group, Navigating the Recession group. Share the link there.
Yeah. And if you want to learn with us, there are a lot of learners who have learned with us. You can take a free trial at programmingpathshala.com, right? Explore the courses that we have. So that could be the starting point if you don't know how to begin. So yeah.
Cool. Now let's take the questions.
Yes, I think let's take the question. So, okay. So one of the person is saying that what if they are laid off and they have to take a career break due to it? So yeah. So I would suggest that, see, as I talked about, if for unfortunately you get laid off, so just make sure that you keep your calm and keep preparing, right? So career breaks. See, I have seen a lot of career breaks of people, and they were still able to get hired. For example, one of our student had a career break of I think 2 to 3 years. I think Bhuvnesh,
Okay.
and he was able to still crack a very good company, Optim, right? And he was able to go on a very good package, right? So people take break for various reasons. They take break due to IS preparation. They take break due to their health issues, right? So I don't think that should matter a lot on the long run, right? Short term mein, it increases anxiety, but again, as I said, just keep calm and make sure that you keep preparing.
So I have a very good question. So Japneet is asking that are we just going back to normal hiring environment after this particular hypes and this recession goes by?
I think I would say yes, है ना? So 2022, 2021 में तो like the hiring was like mad crazy. 2021 नहीं 2022 I would say hiring was like super mad crazy. But we'll be back I think to the standards of 2018, 19, those kind of scenarios, right? People were still getting hired, but it was not that easy कि 100 सवाल कर लिए and you'll be through, right? So don't let that come in the way of your preparation.
So how is Silicon Valley Bank collapse gonna affect the future? I think Silicon Valley Bank is having more impact for the companies who are in this US just because they had more investment from this bank, right? And if we see the data, we can see that these companies are laying off more as compared to what Indian companies are doing. So I believe that now this particular bank is now with some other bank. I heard a story that this was bought by some other bank. So let's see how it happens. Even I don't know about it, but let's see how this turns out.
Yep. One of the person is asking how to stay consistent and कॉलेज की इंटर्नशिप विल बी पॉसिबल क्या. तो ठीक है, तो फर्स्ट हाउ टू स्टे कंसिस्टेंट. सो हाउ टू स्टे कंसिस्टेंट में यार द ओनली थिंग दैट आई वुड से इज कि what people do, what I have seen people do is कि they'll take one day and they'll try to study 8 hours and they'll try to keep their goal कि मैं 8 घंटे रोज पढ़ूंगा, right? So this is, I would say, a very unrealistic goal, right? Your goals could be very small and achievable. For example, 2 घंटे रोज पढ़ूंगा, या if you are in PPA course, we suggest generally कि 1 से 2 वीडियो 1 से 2 सवाल, right? So even if you are able to get there, right, and you fix your time, अलार्म लगाया हुआ है कि इस टाइम से इस टाइम फ़ोन भी बंद, सब कुछ बंद, then automatically with time you'll be able to get consistency, right? I think this is true even not for just studying but also for anything that you want to do in life, right? Be it gymming or something. So just make sure that you have fixed time and fixed achievable small goals, and once you are able to have that in mind, then I think consistency should not be an issue. Second question regarding internships. So internships would be difficult, right? So I'm not gonna lie, internships are going to be slightly difficult, but positive side is that if people do not want to hire for full time, they would like to test out by hiring interns, right? And if they work well, then they'll give PPO. So internships would be there, but you would have to look out for them, is what I would suggest. Second thing is, does internship really matter for job? So even if internship is not there, you can take up some projects. So projects generally in colleges, stuff like that, and build a whole end-to-end thing on your own, right? So even that can count like a good project, and that can be sufficient even if you don't have an internship, right? So first thing is internships होंगी but मेहनत करके मिलेंगी. Second, अगर नहीं भी मिलती हैं तो projects could be the good way to go ahead with.
Right.
Yeah.
So Krishna is worried that when software engineers goes by the age of 30 to 35, he is given more of a managerial job, right? So he is worried that okay, if that will be fine in these particular times.
यार तो हाँ, so still managerial jobs will be required. ऐसा नहीं है कि बंद हो जाएंगी, right? So हाँ, one more thing that people says कि AI will take your all IT jobs, right? So I would say don't go into all of that. अभी 10-15 साल तक तो we don't see any major impact coming, right? So see, requirements companies के change होते रहते हैं. They are not clear. What is that chat GPT and all which is going on? They have just taken all the data and then tried to make conclusions out of it and work on it, right? But still there would be some unsolved problems in the world, right? For example, urban company को पहली बार जब या Uber को जब पहली बार अपना scheduling बनाना पड़ता कि कौन सी कैब किसको असाइन हो, तो they cannot rely on chat gpt to give them a solution for that, right? For that they would need engineers. So I would still say कि problem solving skills जैसी skills would be still the utmost which are important. Second, coming to 35 to 40 wala question, uh, uh, so once you are at that stage you are supposed to design, right? So there are two paths. Either you can go into the path of a technical manager type, or you can go to tech lead. If you become a tech lead,
Architect.
yeah, or computer, yeah, or yeah, architect. So in those kind of roles, you are asked to system design. You are asked to check the low-level design of systems, right? Scale the systems. So all those roles are still going to be relying on your coding skill, relying on your technical architecture skills, right? Compared to your managerial. So that is your path to choose out of the two, is what I would say.
So Praveen says that he got laid off from Amazon, and now how to deal with the mental situation that he has. So it's easy to say that keep calm and prepare, but how to bring your mind to that particular mindset that okay, you need to start again preparing for your jobs and you need to go solve questions again. So how to come out of that mindset?
हाँ. So I would not say कि immediately होगा, right? So everyone has their own time in which they cope up, right? कुछ लोगों को immediate होता है, कुछ लोगों को 4-5 दिन लगते हैं, right? If you want to help out, then try to think कि worrying से कुछ नहीं होने वाला है, right? So if you actually think about it, if you just keep on worrying तो कुछ होने नहीं वाला है. तो 2-3 दिन रो लो एंड देन जस्ट मेक श्योर कि यू हैव दैट, यू कैन से संकल्प को क्या बोलते हैं इंग्लिश में, रेजोल्यूशन कि अब आई विल नॉट वरी टू मच अबाउट दिस, आई डायरेक्टली मूव ऑन टू वर्किंग ऑन माई स्किल्स, है ना? सो आई वुड से कंबाइन मत करो दोनों को, मतलब वन टिल यू हैव अ क्लोजर विद the negative emotions, you will not be able to move ahead and study, right? So have the closure first and then move on and study. For that you can use meditations and all
Yes.
to keep yourself calm. Yeah.
So there is one more question. People are asking that will all these things that recession is there and these all come to normal again? Like it's a very complex question, but eventually everything comes to normal. That is what you should realize, is because you can't think every time in a short view, in a short term view. You have to think in a long term view, and every time such situation comes, again things come back to normal, right?
Yep. Things will be back to normal for sure. There is like,
Most of the questions are very much similar.
okay, great. If you have any other questions, you can ask. Yeah.
Mr. Bunny is asking, can you suggest 1 or 2 year good course? So he's doing masters in USA. He's going to do masters in USA. So he's asking for suggestion for good courses.
So I would say कि focus on your problem solving skills. For that you can check out our course as well. Go to programmingpathshala.com, take a free trial. Like it is a brilliantly curated course, I would say, with very in-depth knowledge of all the data structure algorithm and problem solving. Even concepts of CS fundamentals, LLD, HLD, they are covered in good enough depth. So like as much depth is required for most of the interviews. So just take a free trial there. I think that would be a good place to start. Yeah. Great. I think we can.
I think that's all from our side.
Yeah.
But if you have more doubts,
You can keep
ask.
on punching them.
And also you can tell, if you like such kind of sessions, we can do
Any
it-
other
yes.
topic that you would like us to take sessions
Suggest.
on? You can put that up in the chat as well. Okay then everyone. I hope you all enjoyed the webinar, and we'll see you this Sunday. Try to join us for the resume session as well. I think we'll be live with
Yes.
Vivek
And Anup
Anup.
Garg.
Yeah, and they'll be happy to answer that. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you guys.